Well, hello and welcome everybody to the New Health Conversation podcast, where we're devoted only to giving you medical facts. We don't give you opinions. Opinions don't and shouldn't matter to anybody. What we're going to do today is we're going to show you medical proof of a breakthrough that will make every diet you've ever been on obsolete. I know that sounds like a pretty big statement, but we have we have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, and we have numerous other studies proving that this whole nonsense of calories in, calories out is one of the most ridiculous things that anybody ever came up with, and it absolutely doesn't work in the long run. Study after study after study shows that. We're gonna read to you from those today, but in addition, we're going to show you these 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. I know this will sound unbelievable to you, but men and women are losing as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet, losing as much weight in a month as a year on diets, losing no water weight, and gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, despite no one being allowed to exercise. I know that sounds preposterous, crazy, out of your mind, but it's absolutely true. Hello, Jeanette. How would you like to lose as much weight in a week as in 8 weeks of any diet you've ever been on? Safely. How about Queen Fatoa? How would you like to lose a whole dress size in 7 weeks with no exercise? I know it sounds good to be true, and that's why people come on and they click off because they don't understand. They keep thinking this is some kind of a diet. It's not. What we've proven, not we, but what the researchers have proven is that dieting is just ridiculous. So lowering calories to lose weight is one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do. Because what we know is that when you lower your calories, which, by the way, the human body doesn't even know what a calorie is. Why are we counting calories? No one can tell me. Because, again, all this calories in, calories out nonsense is not backed up by medical proof. Because when you look at the medical, in the short term, a reduction in energy intake is counteracted by mechanisms that reduce metabolic rate and increase calorie intake, ensuring the regaining of lost weight. They're saying this. This is one of many big studies showing that counting calories is the most ridiculous thing you could ever do. Now let's go to the Harvard Medical School. Stop counting calories. What did they say? The idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not just antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford, obesity specialist, Harvard Medical School. Drop the calories notion, they say. It's now to concentrate on what's in the food, not how much food we're consuming. Now let's go to another one. Why you shouldn't count calories. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count and restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. Now, this one is pretty amazing. This is a review and meta-analysis of 80 weight loss studies that were testing the effectiveness of lowering calories. A review and meta-analysis examined 80 clinical trials. The authors compared different methods of lowering calories. They found a diet focused on drastically reducing calories resulted in people steadily gaining back all the weight and more. I've got more. Study after study after study. Stop counting calories. Stop. It's the most ridiculous thing you could ever do, because the whole concept is crazy, because the human body doesn't even know what a calorie is. Why are you counting calories? Because someone told you to. Do you know that all a calorie is a measurement? It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. That's it. What you need to concentrate on is the metabolic factors that run our body. First, we have a minimum amount of nutrition that we need to run the brain, the heart, the kidney, the liver, all our organs. What happens on a diet is you lower the amount of food you're consuming. What else are you lowering? You're lowering nutrition. When you lower nutrition, the brain figures it out. There's not enough fuel. So what does it do? Well, it shuts down fat burning, and then it looks for energy. It looks for fuel. Where does it find it? In our muscles. It stops you from burning fat, turns to your muscles for fuel. That's one of the most unhealthy things you could ever do, because number one, it slows down your metabolism. That's why you plateau in these diets. That's why you come off the diets, you gain everything back. But worse, did you know that losing lean muscle mass massively impacts your own immune system? This is crazy. Whatever diet you're on is doing something to you. It's not doing something for you. I know it's exciting to see the number on the scale move to the left, or you're fitting in your skinny jeans. They work until they don't. We have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. I'd love for anybody to put in the comments, tell me a diet you think works. Hello, Max. Syra, I think it is. Okay, well, welcome everyone. But anyway, Carol, how excited would you be if you could lose a whole dress size in well, I guess you're not excited. I guess you want to go count calories and gain all your weight back as soon as you, look, here's what we've done for you. We've given you, there's a free website there, the New Health Conversation. If you go there, we won't contact you. We don't do that. We don't need to contact you, right? But the idea that counting calories somehow is working is nonsense. How would you justify 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, and 50% pre-diabetic? Hello, Shannon. What we're talking about here is the ability to lose weight in a week that would take you 8 weeks on a diet. Lose as much weight in a month as a year on diets, lose no water, and gain 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. I know it sounds too good to be true, but we have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies that are proving this new protocol that was invented by the top weight loss researchers in the world, who after 38 years, 100 studies, thousands of people figured out why don't diets work. And we actually wrote the definitive book about it called Why Diets Are Failing Us back in 2010. And we got tremendous pushback. How dare you? The only way to lose weight is calories in, calories out. Really? Then how come 80% of Americans overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic? Robert, can you give me an explanation for that? You don't have to answer. I'm just throwing that out there. But Robert, what happened is that men and women who were not even allowed to exercise literally lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of dieting. Men lost 2 to 4 inches off their waist in a week with no exercise. They lost as much weight in a month as a year on dieting, lost no water, gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. And that's not even the good part of this. People also lowered their blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all in 30 days. Hunger went down 41% in a month, and people for the first time ever lowered inflammation, the underlying cause of every disease out there, by 25% in a month. No one's ever seen anything like this. And these researchers who invented this, they don't have a product. They don't have a company. This isn't lotions, potions, pills, capsules. No. What they did is they realized why diets didn't work was real simple. The whole idea of a diet has nothing to do with calories. It has to do with the amount of nutrition that we have in the body. We have a minimum amount we need to run all our organs. What you're doing on a diet, you're lowering the amount of food you're consuming. But has anyone ever told you you're lowering nutrition? And when you lower nutrition, when the brain senses not enough nutrition, it triggers the starvation mode and prevents you from burning. It stops burning fat, and you burn your muscles for energy, slowing down your metabolism. You gain everything back. That's why 80% of Americans overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic. Does anybody think these diets are working? It's lunacy. It's craziness. And yet people cling to it. You should see the hate mail that I get. I mean, I'm an idiot. I'm a snake oil says. Nothing that I share with you is my opinion. I've been a nutritional researcher for 22 years. I've written 4 best-selling books to some of the top medical doctors. And okay, go count calories then, if that's what you want to do. The problem is that calorie counting doesn't work long term. It doesn't. I'd love for anybody to put in the chat, tell me a diet you think works long term, not short term. Hello, Lois. How would you like to lose as much weight in 7 days? Hi, Becky. How'd you like to lose as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet with no exercise? How about losing a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise? How about losing as much weight in a month as a year on any diet, losing no water weight and gaining 6 to 9% lean muscle mass? This isn't some kind of a joke. This is for real. I'm holding in my hand 10 peer-reviewed human trial medical studies. So this protocol, which was invented by the top weight loss researchers in the world, they don't have a product, they don't sell anything, they don't have a company. What they did, they redefined food, and they created what's called the world's most perfect meals. Now, how did they do this? They limited the amount of food people could consume to a grocery list that they created, so that you're in 30% of what you would consume is from the grocery store. You actually get a grocery list. But the other 70%, the researchers identified other foods that have been discovered by other researchers, and they picked 5 foods that made up what the researchers called the world's most perfect meals from a nutritional standpoint of view. Nothing to do with quantity, everything to do with quality, okay? So now imagine if you could start January 1st, you order no food except 30% from the grocery store from this list, and the other 70% from these 5 foods from around the world. So let's call that your food list. As you know, in cooking, you can have ingredients, but the most important thing typically is the recipe. So they created a completely new way of consuming food. Step number 1, 5 days a week, they had people do something on protein pacing. What the heck is that? People had 4 meals a day. You heard me. They started with the world's most perfect meal. That was breakfast. Lunch from this grocery list, a 3rd meal from the grocery list, and the 4th meal from the world's most perfect meal. You do that 5 days a week. 2 days a week, you do something called intermittent nutritional fasting, not fasting. On those days, no food from the grocery store, just these 5 foods from around the world. 4 meals spread out about 12 hours. And what were the results? After 7 days, the researchers were shocked. Men and women who were not allowed to exercise had lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet. These researchers, who'd done 100 studies over 38 years, thousands of people, they'd never seen anything like this before. In a month, men and women lost as much weight as a year on any diet they'd ever studied, no loss of water, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Now, I know you get all excited about that because of the number. That's the least important reason to do this. In a month's time, hunger came down 41%. You ever been on a diet for 30 days? At the end of 30 days, you're about ready to eat your couch? Okay, the other thing that it did that was amazing, it lowered inflammation. That's the underlying cause of every disease out there. Those little aches and pains and the stiffness you feel as you get older, that's inflammation, okay? Also, they lowered blood pressure, blood sugar, cholesterol, triglycerides, all in 30 days. And in a month, they shrank visceral. That's the fat. Visceral fat is the fat around your organs by 33%. No one was allowed to exercise. Now, I know it sounds too good to be true. So what we've done for all of you, you can see at the bottom, the New Health Conversation. That's a free medical website where you can go and you can see the medical proof. There's an interview with the #1 weight loss researcher in the world who he and his team are what created this. And you know what they said? They'll never recommend any form of traditional diet ever again. After 38 years of analyzing every diet out there, they said we would be unethical if we did that. So for example, Becky, why would we put you on a diet that would take you 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way when you could do that in 7 days? How about losing a whole dress size in a week? I mean, I always tell ladies, I joke with them, I said, you know what the most expensive part of this? And they say, what? It's the new wardrobe you're going to have to buy. So here's the best way to think about it. The researchers redefine food that we're going to consume. That's the simple way to think about it. So what they did, they basically allocated initially like a month's worth of food. 30% of the food from the grocery store, from organic. The other 70% from these 5 foods. So you don't buy anything from the researchers. You don't buy anything from us. You buy directly from the suppliers who, by the way, listen to this, Becky, in the first 30 days, they give you a 100% money back guarantee. If for any reason you don't like it, it didn't work, they give you all your money back. I know it sounds crazy. We don't have anything to do with it because we don't sell anything to you. Now, also, if you go to the website, The New Health Conversation, we will not contact you. Be clear, everyone. But if you like what you see, you can scroll down to the bottom. It says sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. The coaching is 100% free. Not just your initial evaluation, but all the way through, that coach will follow you. Because again, 50% is what you're going to consume, and the other 50% is these new recipes. I guess recipe would be a good word on how you're going to consume that food. But again, that's still not the main reason to do it, is because of this medical syndrome, which I have and you have and every person on the planet. T stands for toxicity, D for deficiency, O for being overweight, S is for stress. It's a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. And what we're doing and what we now know, we're drinking, breathing, eating chemicals. And as they come in your body, the body takes them and stuffs them in your fat cells. That's why people complain to me all the time. It's not just how much weight they have, but how much fat they have on their body, because the body is basically encapsulating these toxins inside the fat cells. Well, in these studies where they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they proved that this was, in essence, helping the body remove the chemicals, the toxins, the herbicides, the pesticides, Scotchgard, Teflon, even plastic stored in our bodies. That's why you want to do this. The weight loss is like, I know it gets people really excited, but you're going to lose weight 8, 10, 12 times faster than any diet. And that's the least important reason to do this. It's for your health. Because let me read to you now, after the first time they ever knew we were storing chemicals in our body was 2005, Mount Sinai Medical School. Now, 19 years later, study after study is beginning to understand what's going on by us storing these chemicals in our body. Listen to this. The Endocrine Society, the largest organization of experts devoted to the research on hormones and clinical practice of endocrinology, reports that the rise in the incidence of obesity matches the rise in the use of industrialized chemicals. They call these chemicals obesogens. Listen to what they say. Obesogens, simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our body from a variety of sources, from natural compounds found in soy, hormones fed to animals, plastic pollutants, food packaging, chemicals added to processed food, and pesticides sprayed on produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen. Are you listening, ladies? Blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone. Are you listening, men? And essentially reprogram us to gain weight. What are you doing about obesogens? Had you ever heard of obesogens before this podcast today? Do you understand? You're going up against something with a diet that has no impact on toxins. Zero. This is where we are. I mean, in 1964, we had about 3.6% of the population overweight or obese. This right now, as we sit here today, 80% of Americans overweight, 50% are obese, 50% are pre-diabetic. Does anybody want to put a diet in the chat you think works? None of them work long-term. And this one study kind of sums it up. This was a study of 80 different weight loss clinical trials where the authors compared different methods of dieting by lowering calories. They found that a diet focused on reducing calories put people in a position where they steadily gain back all their weight and end up weighing more than when they started. Another one says basically the same thing. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And what's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to count or restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. So you're going on a diet to gain weight? Did you know that? Do you see the insanity of this? I mean, does it make sense? If in 1964 we had 3.6% and now we're at 80% 61 years later, does anybody, I mean, we have more diets than ever. Go to Barnes & Noble, look at how many diets there are. It's insanity. And what are we doing? We listen to these influencers on TikTok and social media. What are they telling us? Only way to lose weight is to lower calories. It's an energy deficiency. Nonsense, nonsense, nonsense. Let's go to Harvard Medical School. And they had more to say about this. This is Harvard Medical School I'm reading from. Stop counting calories. Most people have been taught that losing weight is a matter of simple math. Cut calories 3,500 and you lose about a pound. But as it turns out, experts are learning that this decades-old strategy is totally misguided. How much more evidence? I mean, I know a lot of you, you're going to get off. You're not going to be on here. You think it's crazy. You don't believe it because you're trying to compare this to diets. It's not a diet. It doesn't work like that. Nobody's ever, let's talk about the shots for a minute. I'm not against the shots. They're helping diabetics and they're helping people more obese. But let's look at they're telling us this is really good. It was a 68-week study done in the New England Journal of Medicine, I have it right here, where they said that in 68 weeks, the average weight loss for people was 32 pounds. Also in the study, up to 40% of what people lost was lean muscle mass. Talk to people coming off the shots, they're gaining as much as a half a pound a day. Because again, all it is, it slows down the food moving through the digestive tract. You're eating less food. Again, you're getting less nutrition. I don't know why these people don't get this. It's like craziness. And yet you go and torment yourself by going, your willpower. But the minute you stop, you're going to gain all the weight back. Do you get that? You're doing something against your own survival. Am I making sense? Does everyone get this? So did I say anything about vegans? I've been a vegan. Good for you. Did you know that a vegan protein, your absorption of amino acids is 10%, and 90% of what you're ingesting is a toxin that your kidneys have to get rid of called nitrogen catabolites? Did you know that? Forget it. It's again a nonsensical argument. And what is vegan doing for removing chemicals from your body? Zero. It's been studied. Nothing. It does nothing. Congratulations on the weight. See, that's the problem. The mentality is that people think that losing weight is that's a great reward. It's the wrong kind of weight. You have lost a major portion of your lean muscle mass. Sorry to tell you that. Do whatever you want to do. I'm not against vegan. We have a vegan program. But the reality is we're storing chemicals inside. You are too. What, do you think a vegan is removing chemicals from your body? It's not. It's not. You're storing chemicals inside your fat cells. Go look it up. The TDOS syndrome. Look it up. I mean, that's reality, okay? So would Becky or Bright Writer or anybody else, would you like to ask me any questions? Because really, the thing is that this whole diet, whether it's vegan, whether it's carnivore, whatever, it's nonsense, complete and utter nonsense. Because, for example, in a vegan protein, my vegan friend, that's not where's your proof? Detox, how? How are you detoxing? Where's your where's your blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis that you're detoxing? See, that's a statement. That's an opinion. It's not based on facts. These are the first studies ever done where they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, proving that this protocol was removing the chemicals from the body. With all due respect, I detox twice a year. How do you do that? I mean, put it in the chat. Let me know. I'd love to know. But where's your peer-reviewed human trial study? See, if you don't have a peer-reviewed human trial study, it's a nice conversation. It's interesting, but there's no medical proof behind it. We're in terrible trouble in this country. Whether it's a vegan approach or whatever. We have 50% of Americans are pre-diabetic, for crying out loud. If you found something that works for you, great. Applaud. But don't tell me you're detoxing when you don't have any evidence of that. It's a theory, but where's the blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis? Do you have it? If you don't, it's an interesting conversation. That's about it. Okay? Let's see. Oh, Becky G, thank you very, very much. So Becky G, what I would invite you to do again, or any of you, even my vegan friend over here, the new health conversation, and schedule a free consultation if you want to do it. Okay, so Calorie removes heavy metals from the blood. I use wormwood and black walnut. I do prolong. That's not evidence. That's an opinion, okay? There's nothing wrong with chlorella and whatever. When you're saying it's remove heavy metal, where's the proof? Don't give me a statement. Don't give me an opinion. That doesn't mean a damn thing. I've been a nutritional researcher for 22 years. I've been through this before. This is my first rodeo. This is the first time in human history where they've done studies with blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis proving that this is removing. You're making a statement, but you don't have any proof. It's all nonsense. And I'll tell you why. For 20 years, I faced this same thing. Nobody in the medical world would ever look at this and take it seriously. So don't tell me you're detoxing when you don't have blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis. If you have that, great, but you don't have it, because otherwise it would be out there. If what you're talking about worked, you'd want to have, not you, but in general, would people not have peer-reviewed human trial studies? My God. Oh, how about that? Awesome info. Greetings from Costa Rica. Hello, Donovan. Look, the negative impacts of keto long-term are the negative impacts of any diet out there, okay? In every diet out there, Bright Writer, what they've proven is, number one, I just explained it to you. While counting calories or restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. That's the problem. You can lose weight on keto, on vegan, on carnivore, I don't care what it is, but you can't maintain it. That's the evidence. I mean, how could we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic if any diet worked in the long run? All I know is I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 22 years ago. I've kept it off for 22 years. Can anybody put that in the chat? So keto, the problem, like every diet, let me explain to you the problem. I don't care what diet you go on. The diets of counting calories is nonsense. It's smoke and mirrors. It's fairy dust. The human body doesn't even know what a calorie is. A calorie is a measurement. It's the amount of heat it takes to raise a gram of water 1 degree Celsius. That's it. Okay, so let's get down to reality. The body runs on nutrition. So with my good vegan friend over here, it doesn't matter that you're not obese. Let me familiarize obesity, okay? It has nothing to do with being overweight. It has to do with the visceral fat in which your body is storing these chemicals which you think you're detoxing, which you're not, okay? What they do when they measure the visceral fat, that's the fat around the organs, that fat in proportion to how much muscle you have would make you obese. Sorry to tell you that. I'm not saying you in particular. The new term, it's called normal weight obesity. Go look it up. This world is, look, we got 1 billion people worldwide clinically obese. And one of the things you won't get in your vegan thing are what are called trace ionic minerals. We need 70. In the best organic plants, you're getting 20 out of 70. What about the other 50? Where are you getting those? That's why these researchers had to go around the world you have to understand that even organic in this country, because of the over-farming, the overuse of herbicides and pests, do you know that organic in 200 studies, they proved it was a little bit better nutritionally than regular food? It was less polluted. You have to understand that you're ingesting, drinking, breathing, eating chemicals. Whether you want to you can make up whatever story you want. Unless you have proof, blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, interesting, but of no value in the medical world at all. Zero impact, okay? Good, just because you're thin. Like I said, huge study done. Just because you're thin doesn't mean you're healthy. That's what you have to understand. You're still toxic. Don't tell me you're not toxic. You haven't produced any evidence, blood, stool, urine, fat analysis, that you're saying you're detoxing, but you're not. Because if that was working, it would be you'd want to have, not you, but in general, people would want to have that in peer-reviewed human trial studies, okay? That's not what it's about. Congratulations. I'm not opposed to vegans. I have a lot of vegan friends, but you've got to understand that the food, even if you're doing vegan, is woefully, where are you getting adaptogens, for example? What are adaptogens? They come from Manchuria. What do? They massively lower inflammation in your body. Those plants aren't doing that. It's never been studied. It's never been proven. You measure inflammation is measured with two factors called C-reactive protein and interleukin-1. Show me a study on a vegan where it's lowering inflammation. Never doesn't exist. So here's the thing, and I know this is going to make you mad. It always does. For all of you, none of you have any idea how bad you actually feel because you don't understand how good you could feel. And unless you're in a position to assist your own body in removing toxins from your body, good luck. It's a crapshoot. Every disease is exploding. Listen to what they said. They said that right there in this. Well, here's another follow-up. Frederick von Saul, professor of biological sciences, University of Missouri, Columbia. Obesogens are hijacking the regulatory system to control body weight. The presence of obesogens is the first reason that traditional dieting methods have become outdated. Never before have traditional low-carbohydrate, low-calorie diets been forced to accommodate these toxins that we're storing in our body. Hell, they didn't even know we were storing chemicals in 2005. Again, don't get me wrong. I'm not against vegans. A lot of people do it for religious reasons, etc. All I'm telling you, it's not the answer. You may think you're good, but you're not extraordinary. Where are you getting the 70 minerals? Where are you getting the adaptogens? Where are you getting a 91% absorption of amino acids? Because your plants are giving you 10% of the 20 amino acids that we need to sustain our lives. Fact, not for debate. Go look it up, net nitrogen utilization. It was developed in Europe about 10 years ago where they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis on people. As they ingested proteins from plants or animals, they measured, you've got all 20 amino acids, 9 are essential, 11 are non-essential. But what matters to your body is the absorption. What percentage, 0 to 100, are being absorbed? In plants, it's 10%. 90% of that plant protein you're congesting is a toxin, urea, creatine, ammonia, glucose, that your kidneys have to get rid of. That's why when people are on kidney dialysis, they pretty much don't want to have any protein at all. So let me see. Hello, greetings from Costa Rica. Okay, thank you. I've been on diets my entire life. Yeah, Bright Writer. Would you recommend working with them? No, you don't. No, we do that for you for free. What? Excuse me, Bright Writer. We teach you exactly what they did in these medical 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies, okay? As a matter of fact, you even get, this is what they used in the studies. It's called the Blueprint for Success. These are all daily, I know you can't read them, these yellows, they're all daily instructional videos from, these are the top weight loss nutrition researchers in the world for 38 years. They're not giving you opinions, they have medical facts. So we teach, number one, you get a food list, 30% from the grocery store, fats, carbs, proteins, etc. Not just the actual, but also the amounts, okay? But the other 5 foods that make up the world's most perfect meal come from all over the world, from Russia, Mongolia, China, not China, but Tibet and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. So you don't have to figure, that's why, go to the website, it's free. Look at the medical proof, and then if you want, sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches, which is free, and that coach will be with you the whole time. They'll show you everything because we don't sell you anything. We have nothing to sell. The researchers don't have anything to sell. What they did, they created a new way of looking at food from a nutritional standpoint of view, not quantity, but quality, okay? So the point is that it's these researchers, they're the top people in the world. They're not someone giving me an opinion. They had 38 years of experience, 100 studies, thousands of people on every kind of diet out there, from vegan to carnivore to Cornish to Zone to Atkins to Joni Craig, Weight Watch, Nutrisystem. None of them work long term. 0 work long term. And like I said, the building blocks of life are amino acids. And the thing is that even people that are carnivore, that are, they think they're on these carnivore diets, so steak, chicken, liver, fish, whatever, the maximum absorption of the amino acids in any animal protein is 30%. The research has found a source where the absorption of the amino acids is 91%. That's why, listen to me, people were not allowed to exercise, men and women, 80% women, 20% men. They gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. How's that possible? Because one of the 9 essential amino acids, meaning you have to get it from your diet, called leucine, is responsible for doing what in our body? Making muscle. They've got the medical proof. These people, the men and women, lost as much weight in a month as a year on diets and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Never seen before. These results, no one's ever seen anything like this. And again, the main reason to do it is not to lose weight. Like I said, the main reason to do it is to combat the TDOS syndrome, which my vegan friends, my carnivore friends, everybody has TDOS syndrome. You can't be, right now we're breathing in the fumes from the coal-fired power plants in China, from the mercury, the cadmium. Right now we're breathing it. What do you think your body does? The immune system can't handle it. So it takes the chemical and stuffs it in your fat cells. And that's why they have this new term, not me, but they invented normal weight obesity. What are we doing to ourselves? Look at all the disease statistics. They're crazy. And I'm not, please, my vegan friend, don't get upset with me. I'm just giving you the science. If you think that 10% absorption of amino acids is good, then, I know you wouldn't. You don't. But every diet out there, we're proving that up to 40% of what people lose is because they're losing lean muscle mass. Not because, but they are losing up to 40% lean muscle mass, which slows down metabolism. But the other thing it does, it's really unhealthy for you. It also interferes your own immune system. So the diet you're on is doing something to you. It's not doing something for you. So again, I know all about the Hunses. That's a blue zone. They live long lives. I'm totally familiar with kefirs, etc. Look, one of my colleagues is a top geneticist in the world who discovered the gene that causes aging. So yeah, I'm really aware. That's a wonderful, these blue zones around the world, right? That we know. People live really, guess what they have in common? Massive amounts of nutrition. That wouldn't be a blue zone in the United States, let's be honest. I'm not saying please don't take me wrong. I'm not trying to insult anybody. I'm a researcher, I'm a scientist. What we're doing is making you aware of the science. Now, you can make up whatever stories you want about it. You're not getting 70 trace ionic minerals. You're getting a 10% absorption of amino acids. You're not getting adaptogens. None of us were. These researchers put this together to create the world's most perfect meal nutritionally. It's up to all of you. You can do whatever you want to do. But when we're looking at these kind of disease statistics, with 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic, and they're saying that, but remember, I told you the term, normal weight obesity. Because my vegan friends, you're still toxic, whether you know it or not. Don't think you're not. There's no way you can't be living, you can't be breathing, eating, whatever, and not be storing chemicals. We have 10,000. What do you did you think that an organic field is insulated from the chemicals? It's not. We know, by the way, organic food has 20 to 30% of the chemicals that are used in regular food. Why? Because here comes the plane on the regular field, spraying chemicals. Ooh, the wind, but also it goes in the water table, and the very plants you're eating are absorbing those chemicals, those herbicides and pesticides. What do you think? You think they put a 10 over your field? No, of course not. Look, it's not even like I like to I'm not here to scare people to death. I'm here to scare you to life and say, wait a minute, wake up. We all should be detoxing. But do it with something that's proven medically, not somebody's, let's take bentonite, we're going to detox. No, you're not. There's no evidence of that. It's all nonsense. So, people can do whatever they want. Did you even know before this call that TDOS existed? It's a registered trademark U.S. Patent Office. Do you understand what you go through to get a registered trademark, especially in the medical field? They take your data and then they scrutinize it around the world. They go, is there anything similar? Because when they give you the little R, which I have the little R, that gives you your legal protection. Nobody can rip you off. But it's very hard, to, especially in the medical field, to come up with something new. Big deal. And I'm not trying to, I guess it ain't bragging if you can back it up. I did it. I discovered it. I've written 4 best-selling books of some of the top medical doctors in the world, like I just told you. As far as the Hunses, imagine he's the top geneticist in the world who discovered the gene that causes aging. What if I told all of you, this will blow your minds, what if I told you that aging is not a condition, it's a disease? We know it. We know what causes it. And I don't have time to get into that whole discussion about telomeres and telomerase and everything else that I do know about. And guess what? Guess what speeds up aging? Number 1 is cigarettes. Number 2, these 4 factors. Toxicity driven by deficiency, overweight, and stress. Absolutely. See, the thing that people I don't think understand, and again, to my vegan friends, please understand my caution here, but I'm going to just tell you. You eat whatever the plant eats. So that plant who's drawing up the elements from the soil, it's drawing up the chemicals that were sprayed on the farmer's field across the road from whatever you're consuming. I'm not against, veganism is great, but it has its real limitations, its real shortfalls. And I understand that people are doing it for ethical reasons. But from a biological standpoint, especially in terms of getting 91%, do you know that all of you, everybody on here, starting at age 25, you suffer from a disease you probably haven't heard of before called sarcopenia? What the heck is that? You start to lose 1% of your lean muscle every year at about age 25. Why? Because you can't get enough amino acids in terms of the absorption. Go in a nursing home, look at people in their 80s, the skin's hanging off their bones. What's the thing that an elderly person is terrified the most? Falling down, breaking their hip. It can be fatal. Why did they do that? Because they lost all their lean muscle mass. Do you see what's going on? Do you get it now? Do you understand? I mean, and then you're going to go on a diet where you're going to lower the amount of nutrition. You're already in a position as far as amino acids, you're already short. The best you're going to do in steak, chicken, liver is about 30%. Now you're going to consume less? Really? How do you think that's going to turn out? So all these people coming on telling you, like, have 120 grams of protein a day. Nonsense, rubbish. They don't know about this. Look, I'm not the expert, but I became an expert on the experts. I mean, the people who did this, they're the top weight loss nutrition physiologists in the world. You don't think they've done vegan diets? Of course they have in 38 years, 100 studies, thousands of it. They've looked at everything. They were looking for the secret, the code, the lock, the unlock what? The obesity crisis. I mean, when Johns Hopkins Medical School, I think I read it before, but let me read it to all of you again, because I don't make up things. I only give you the medical proof. I just have so many studies here. Just bear with me here for just a moment, okay? Where is the Johns Hopkins? Hold on just one second. Bear with me. Don't go away mad. Just go away. No, I'm kidding. Let's see. Is it here after the Harvard? Okay, you got Harvard. Oh, basically what they said is, the medical study, Johns Hopkins Medical School, predicts obesity apocalypse by 2030, that 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese. Does that sound like what we're doing is working? Do you understand? We're on your side. We're bringing you free medical reality, not this nonsense you're seeing on social media. With all due respect, the only thing they're telling you, they're giving you opinions. They're not giving you facts. Where's their medical proof? Where is it? If what they were saying was so good, they'd want to. Also, I was born without a thyroid and vegan since birth. My father was vegan. He died at 97. I'm in the middle of nowhere and I grow. Well, then great. Please, Sidonia, I'm not against you. Please understand that. I'm just stating, but see, you're an anomaly. The average person can't access that level of food that you're growing. I'm just telling you, not telling you, I'm sharing with you. Look, I've spent 22 years of my life as a nutritional researcher, worked with some of the top, really, medical doctors, oncologists, molecular. I told you, the geneticist is the number one geneticist in the world who discovered the gene that causes aging. I mean, that's pretty good, right? It's not my research. I'm not the smart. I am not the expert, but I became an expert on the experts. You know, I ended up writing 4 best-selling. I discovered a medical syndrome. Are you kidding me? That's a big deal. It's affect every person on the planet. That's a really big deal. That's not a pun. So would you recommend working with? No. Bright writer, I hope I answered that question. No. Sign up for the free consultation. Our people are trained. No nutritionists. No, they're going to tell you the old stuff. They're going to try and tell you calories in, calories out. We know it. It's dog water. It's over. They're studying for, look, here's the point. Brightwater, writer. If diets worked, if any of this, whether a nutritionist, a dietitian, whatever, if any of those worked, how could we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic? I'd love for anybody to answer that for me. Put it in the comments, whether it's Seven Nicholas or SG2 or anybody. When you have peer-reviewed, human trial, medical studies, they're irrefutable evidence, meaning they've already been vetted by the top medical doctors and researchers in the world who have one job most of you don't understand. The job of those researchers is to discredit what they're trying to prove. The journals don't want to publish something that's sort of irrefutable. Yeah, sometimes they get it wrong with drugs, okay. But at least we have a standard. We have a scientific standard of scrutiny. How come none of these other diets have initiated peer-reviewed human trial studies on their own? And these researchers, they looked at every kind of diet there was for 38 years. Isn't that enough evidence? And guess what they came to the conclusion? None of them work long-term. Zero work long-term. Do you see what I'm saying? And the point is that we keep going down this road, and yet study after study says the calories in, calories out formula for weight loss is a myth. So while you achieve short-term weight loss following the formula, you'll gain all your weight back. This other one says, while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who try to counter restrict their calories gain back more weight than they lost. What? Why are you going on? Do you understand? I'm trying to prevent you from making a huge mistake January 2nd or before. New Year's resolution, I'm going to lose weight. Really? How's that working for America? 1964, 3.6% of the population overweight or obese. 61 years later, we're at 80% overweight, 50% obese. Look, for the first time in history, there's more people obese than overweight in the United States. How about around the world? You think it's just a U.S. problem? Out of 8 billion people on the planet, human beings, they're now estimating 1 billion are clinically obese. Do you know that in the big study out of England about 2 years, they said for the first time in history, more children are going to die from obesity than starvation. Because in this study where they said 1 billion, this came out in March of this year, March of 2024, they said 1 billion people are now clinically obese. Notice they didn't say overweight, they said clinically obese. They said making obesity the leading form of malnutrition in the world. What? They went on to say both being underweight and being obese are both forms of malnutrition because people aren't getting the right amount of vitamins, minerals, and nutrients necessary to support optimum health. Do you know we spend about 4 times as much money as the industrialist world on healthcare, and we have about the 80th outcome? I mean, our life expectancy is 10 years shorter than Japan. I mean, what are we doing? Look at the food. The food, what have they done? They've taken the nutrition out, put chemicals in and sugar, because it's way cheaper. That, I hope, is going to change now. I really think that hopefully, we're going to wake up a sleeping giant here, and people are going to stand up and say, enough is enough. Thank God we have all these drugs. I'm not opposed to drugs. What would we do if we didn't have them? If you're talking about 50% of the population pre-diabetic, we already have insulin shortages. So, Brightwater, does that make sense to you? And again, I want to put the website in there so you all know you can go there for free. It's absolutely free. And see the medical proof and then sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. It's completely free. So you don't have to hire anybody. We give you all the information for free because there's nothing that's ever been equal to this. All we're going to do is teach you. You're going to order the same food they ordered in the studies, right? And then we're going to show you exactly how they did it. And you're buying 30% of the food from your store and the other 70% from these 5 foods around the world. And then we're going to show you the recipe of how to consume it, because that consumption is everything. And you can see it right there, the new health conversation. Why use drugs? Okay, so I'm fit, worked all my life. I've known people go fully raw and stay fully raw, 40 years, stay slim, young, and healthy. Why use drugs? Because not everybody's as fortunate as you to be able to have that situation where they can grow their own food. So they're relying. Look, our food is, it's a matter of fact, let me tell you something else, Sidonia. There's a great book, it's called Salt, Sugar, and Fat. I didn't write it, but for 10 years, the researchers got the food companies to admit they've spent $1 billion hiring. Did you know there were these also food engineers, food scientists, right? What they did, they figured out the exact combination of salt, sugar, and fat in food that, see, food needs to be pleasurable or we'd starve to death, right? So when we eat the food, it's pleasurable. But they figured out it's pleasurable, but not enough to satisfy you, not enough to fill you up. This is sinister. Food scientists, who ever heard of that? I mean, again, I didn't write that book, but you can go and see the evidence. That's what the problem is. So then the problem is if you don't have, I mean, look, I'm all about what I would call preventative intervention. Meaning, let's try and prevent it before it happens. Or even if, let's say you are on drugs. In the studies, there were diabetics and people with high blood pressure who were monitored by the medical doctors. In 30 days, Sidonia, they were able to reduce the amount of medication their patients were taking by 50% in 30 days. That's pretty impressive. But the rest of us have to rely on what we can get, even if it's organic. But it's still woefully short. If you were going from 0 to 100, you're at about 25 or 30%, the average person. That's it. So what do? We see, people think they're hungry for calories. That's the most ridiculous thing on the planet. Body doesn't know what a calorie is. A calorie is a measurement. That's all it is. It's no more, it's no less. So anyway, yes, I know about it. Of course, because they worked out salt, sugar. Well, salt, sugar, and fat, the three, and create addiction. It's a wonderful book. It was written by Michael Moss, actually, New York Times Pulitzer Prize winner. Not for that book, but for other books. I actually know him. Look, I've been at this for 22 years, and I will tell you this, that for 20 of those years, we didn't have peer-reviewed human trial studies. No one in the medical world would look at this. Do all of you that are still on here, do you understand this could change your life in 7 or 8 days? I mean, after you get over the shock, your scale's not broken, but imagine you get on the scale after 7 days and you've lost as much weight in 8 weeks of any diet. You get on the scale after 30 days and you've lost as much weight as a year on diet, lost no water, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass, and no one's allowed to exercise. Hello. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? So would anybody else like to ask me a question? I'm going to probably go, it's now 6 o'clock in the East Coast. I'm probably going to go another maybe 10 minutes or so. So if anybody would like to ask me a question, now's the time to do it. But this whole thing about calories in, calories out, it's nonsense. It doesn't, there's no, the evidence is so overwhelming when I look at study after, well, counting calories can be a tool to help lose weight. Many experts consider it flawed because the point is that lowering calories lowers nutrition and people gain back all their weight. Harvard Medical School stopped counting calories. Why you shouldn't count calories. While counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. And 2/3 of people who try to counter restrict calories gain back more weight than they lost. Another one, bottom line, the calories in, calories out formula for weight loss success is a myth. While you may achieve short-term weight loss following that formula of calories in, calories out, you'll more than likely regain more than you lost. Let's go to another one. While counting calories can be a tool to help weight loss, experts consider it a flawed and potentially harmful approach in the long run, as it leads to, slowing down your metabolism, and therefore you gain back more weight than you lost. Let's go to another one. This one, a review of 80 studies, clinical studies on, they said, the authors compared different methods of calorie restriction. They found that a diet focused on reducing calories initially produced weight loss, but in the long run, people gained back more weight than they lost. Let's see, have I got another? Yeah, I got another one here, okay? And this one is entitled, this is a really good title. I like this one. It says, don't bother counting calories, it's complete nonsense. They said, well, they use the word inevitable, by the way. Inevitably, more than 95% of people will go back to their baseline and many will go above it. They rebound back if they're in any form of calorie reduction diet. And I read to you before from this one, in short term, a reduction in energy, meaning lowering food consumption, intake is counteracted by mechanisms that reduce your metabolism and increase your calorie intake, ensuring the regaining of your lost weight. Every study's saying the same thing. You know, and then you get into this thing like this ridiculous, you don't eat for 16 hours, you eat for 8. It's just a diet. That's all it is. But let's look, all the studies on that were done until recently were on mice and rats, not on humans. Well, now the human studies are coming out. There's a new one published in the Journal of the American Medical Association where they said the new research found that overweight adults who were assigned to routinely fast 16 hours daily gained almost no benefit from it. And over the course of 3 months, they lost an average of 2 to 3.5 pounds. And most of the weight they shed was not body fat, but lean muscle mass. Does that sound interesting? Now, again, they keep telling you that in that 8-hour period, you can pretty much eat whatever you want, right? Not true. Here's a big study just published in March. Let's see. This was published April 20th of this year. Okay, so what's that, 5 months ago? Or 8 months ago. In the study, here's what they said. Time-restricted eating did not decrease weight very much. As a matter of fact, when we compared people on time-restricted eating to those just lowering calories, the people doing time-restricted eating lost 4.6 pounds in 3 months, and those doing calorie restriction lost 5.2 pounds in 3 months. And then they went on to say any suggestion that the effects of time-restricted eating in prior studies was due to reductions in calorie intake was due to reductions in calorie intake, period. So again, I don't know. I don't think they're purposely misleading you. I think they really believe this nonsense. But they said in 3 months, people gained no benefit from it. And the majority of what they lost was not fat, but lean muscle. Do you see the hypocrisy? Do you see the insanity of all these diets and all these people? And boy, I get tremendous pushback. I will, I'm sure after this podcast today, because it gets reposted all around, all over social media. And they come on and, you don't know what you're talking about. He's a snake oil salesman. Does anybody put in the chat, where do you buy snake oil? I don't know. I mean, it's ridiculous because all I'm doing is sharing the medical irrefutable proof. They're giving me opinions. I mean, it's you know what it is? It's actually sad because we have a real crisis. I mean, Johns Hopkins Medical School saying new study that obesity apocalypse. In 5 years, 86% of Americans are going to be overweight and obese. Can you imagine? Can you even fathom that? It's not just a few people that are overweight. This is a disaster. Well, Kirk, I will tell you that that if that happened, you're a real anomaly. Okay, and the 190 grams of protein that you were consuming. Was it from meat? Because if it's from animal, you only got 27 grams from the 190. You got about 27 grams of usable amino acids. Okay, so again, you're if you're an anomaly, it's great. But study after study after study, intermittent. This time-restricted 16/8 is complete nonsense. We'll see where you are in 5 or 6 months because every person is gaining all their weight back. Okay. Yeah, you got 30, so take whatever number you had, right? So let's say you were ingesting 190 grams of protein divided by 30. That's the usable amino acids in your body. What you don't understand is what wasn't used. Let's just use a round number. Let's say you got 30 grams of usable amino acids, okay? So that means 160 grams your kidneys had to get rid of because they're nothing but waste. They're called nitrogen metabolites. You can look it up. Urea, creatine, ammonia, and glucose that your kidneys are having to get rid of. If you know anybody that's ever been on kidney dialysis, they pretty much limit their protein altogether. So this whole myth about ingesting, you think you're getting 190 grams of protein, you're not. You're getting 27 grams, okay? Let's be clear. That's it. So the point is that what we're doing is we're in a deficiency, okay? That is such a myth about consuming protein and you're getting 100. No, you're not. You're getting 30. No, I'm sorry. I misspoke. 30 of 190 is 57. Sorry. I did the math too quickly in my head. You're getting a third of what you're ingesting is usable by the body. The other 2/3 are toxic waste that your kidneys have to get rid of. Look it up, okay? I didn't do the research. It's out of Europe. It's called net nitrogen utilization. It's one of the biggest fallacies we're all being told about ingesting proteins, okay? Well, good. I'm happy for you, but your likelihood based on you understand, okay? I read to you from that other big medical study. I don't give you opinions, okay? Let me just clarify what they said, okay? While counting calories and restricting calories, and that's all time-restricted eating is, okay? It's restricting, you're only eating an 8-hour window instead of the other 16, okay? They said, while counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term, the approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. I hope you do. I'm not rooting against you. I'm just telling you the medical reality. Let me ask you something, Kirk. If any of these diets worked long term, not in 7 months or a year. Look, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks. Okay. 22 years ago. I've kept it off for 22 years. Then we have a discussion. Okay. Congratulations so far. I hope I'm wrong, but the medical evidence is overwhelming. The chances of you gaining the weight back and more is about 66 2/3%. Just telling you, okay? How did you measure your lean muscle mass? How was that done, by the way? I'd like to know. Because every diet out there, up to 40% of what people lose is lean muscle mass. Period. I don't care if it's time-restricted eating, keto, paleo, Mediterranean, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, etc. That's just what it is. Because the problem is that, go ahead. No, diets don't work. There's no correct diet, Kirk. Do you understand? There's no such thing. Our food in this country is all but nutritionally bankrupt. You need other things that are not available in the supermarket in North America. It's just that simple. I don't care. That's why these things don't work. No, there's no such thing as a correct diet. My God, did you not listen to all the medical proof, including Harvard Medical School, saying stop counting calories? The proper diet. Where are you getting 70 trace organic minerals? What food group are you getting it from? Because in the best organic, even if you're doing organic, you get 20. You need 70. Things like gold and silver and zinc and beryllium and boron and selenium and molybdenum. Where are you getting those? You're not. You're in a deficit, whether you know it or not. Our food, our soil in this country is all but ruined. We've so overfarmed and so used herbicides and pesticides. We destroyed the living part of the soil that used to take the minerals and the plant could upregulate it. Now it's 20. Now they're getting 20 out of 70. Where are you getting adaptogens, by the way? They come from Manchuria. You're buying that at your local grocery. See what I'm saying? It's incomplete. What you're doing, as good as what you know they can, but it's not the maximum. These researchers, they're the top weight loss research. They've worked with Navy SEALs and Green Berets and fitness people and CrossFit people and etc. They're the ones that invented this and said our food is all but nutritionally bankrupt in this country. We had to go around the world to construct meals that, from a nutritional standpoint of view, were the most perfect meals in the world. You're not going to get that at Whole Foods. Sorry, and I shop at Whole Foods and I eat organic, but not because it's nutrient better, because it has less pollution. Okay? Because the food, well, here's why. Because the food, what we crave in our body is nutrition, not calories. The human, all a calorie is a measurement. So what happens even when we're eating normally, we're almost in a deficit of nutrition, okay? So what happens is the reason that people are overeating, it's not for more calories, it's for more nutrition. It's just that simple. Like I said, so it doesn't matter how much you eat, you're still getting 20 out of 70 minerals. 20 out of 70. What about the other 50? We can't just dismiss it. No, you're not getting them. So there's no such thing. If you rely on food from North America, it ain't going to happen. This is not my opinion. It's from the top. These are nutrition, weight loss physiologists. The physiologist is the study of the nutrients inside the body. So with all due respect, I'm sure there's dietitians and nutritionists on here. They'll get mad at me and they'll get, no, you're not you. And I'm not talking about you, Kirk. I'm just talking in general. They're reading from textbooks on technology that's completely outdated. It's like, could you make a phone call on a rotary telephone? Yes. But show me how to text on it. Do you get the point? Do you get the point? We're in a crisis in this country. I mean, when Johns Hopkins Medical School is saying they predict an obesity apocalypse in 5 years, 86% of America is going to be overweight. I'm hoping you're not one of them. But how can anybody look at that and think what we're doing is working? It's insanity. In the long run, we're not arguing that you can lose weight in the short run. That is not up for debate. Congratulations on your success. The thing you need to be worried about is, are you going to end up weighing more weight than you did when you started? Hope not. Yeah, it's processed junk, exactly. Well, good, Kirk. I'm glad. And don't take my passion for anything other than that. I'm not trying to discredit anybody. But Kirk, I've spent 22 years of my life doing this. I've written 4 best-selling books with some of the top medical doctors. I'm not an MD, but I wanted the MD stamp on my book, so I didn't say something ridiculous, right? And I've worked with some of the top oncologists, molecular biologists. My friend, my geneticist friend discovered the gene that causes aging. It doesn't get much bigger than that. I didn't discover it. But people say you have the best job in the world. You hang out with like Thomas Edison, Einstein, and Thomas Edison on a daily, well, kind of, I'm just making that, I'm being silly, of course. But they taught me so much. What we want to do is bring it to you. And you can go, that website, it's free to go there. If you go there, we won't contact you. Don't think we will. We don't do that. We don't need to. We're not salespeople. We're not trying to sell people. We're trying to educate people and give them an opportunity to see these studies. They've made every diet out there obsolete. These researchers, you'll see there's an interview with, let me put it up there for you, see the New Health Conversation. Kirk, I don't want you to believe me, but there's an interview with the #1 nutrition, weight loss physiologist in the world. He and his team created this. They invented this. It was a theory. You understand they don't sell anything. They have no dog in this hunt. They don't have a company. They're scientists. They looked after 38 years, 100 studies, thousands of people on every diet you could fathom. And what did they conclude? They didn't work in the long run. And the reason was that because of the fact that our food in this country, if you lower the quantity of food that's already nutritionally compromised at a minimum, I just told you need 70 minerals and you're getting 20, even if you go and do organic. What do you think your body thinks? Where's the other 50? You're in a deficit, even if you're trying to eat healthy. That's the point. So this idea of a real diet, no, it doesn't. No. Not if you're going to rely on just food from North America. Every disease statistic's out of control because of these chemicals. Because again, what you've done had no impact on the TDOS syndrome. Sorry to tell you that, Kirk. You're storing chemicals in your visceral fat, whether you know it or not. You can't. It's not an option. It's not like your body decides, well, we're not going to store the chemicals. Yes, it is. You would have about 1,000 to 1,500 chemicals embedded in your visceral fat, even though it may not be showing up on the outside. Inside, it's showing up. And they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis in these studies, proving it was removing it. The time-restricted eating, what you're doing, has no impact. Doesn't remove a gram of toxin from the body. Complete nonsense. Jabber, jabber, jabber. We're up against something. Did you hear me when I read about, and again, Kirk, and all of you, I don't want you to believe me, but this is the latest information after 19 years of research. The Endocrine Society, the largest organization of experts devoted to the research on hormones and the clinical practice of endocrinology, reports the rise in incidence in obesity matches the rise in the use of industrialized chemicals, which they call obesogens. They said, simply put, obesogens are chemicals that disrupt the function of our hormonal system, leading to weight gain and many of the diseases that curse the American populace. They enter our body from a variety of sources, from compounds in soy, hormones fed to animals, plastics in food packaging, chemicals added to processed food, and pesticides sprayed in our produce. They act in a variety of ways, mimicking human hormones such as estrogen and blocking the action of other hormones such as testosterone. Hello? Testosterone? Okay. And essentially are reprogram us to gain weight. This is the reality of what's happening. Kirk, had you ever heard of an obesogen before this podcast today? I haven't ever. I mean, I did the research. I didn't come up with obesogens, but they did. Do you know that these 4 factors here, the TDOS syndrome, T for toxicity, D for deficiency, O for being overweight, S for stress, that right behind cigarettes are the 4 leading causes that speed up aging? Did you know that? I wouldn't expect you to, because you probably never heard of TDOS before today. And on the website, my books aren't there. I've written 4 best-selling books. That's not our point. We don't want people to think we're tricking them. You got to go and buy my book to find out. No. Go and see the medical proof for yourselves. It's free. There's no obligation. We're not going to call you. We will not do that. But you might want to go because it could change the rest of your life. Because where else are you hearing this kind of information? Where? And I'm not giving you opinions. I'm giving you facts. I had 25 years of chronic fatigue and I was eating a healthy diet of foods. Yes. Yeah, I know it's not necessarily the term. Yes, I watched your lives before. So again, here's what I'm saying, Kirk, that it would probably it would ensure that whatever you've lost, you'd be able to, look, you know what the program's called, Kirk? R2M. You know what that stands for? Race to maintenance. What's interesting about this, what the researchers did, they said it does us no good. We put people on every diet, whether it was, what you did, intermittent fasting, it doesn't matter. People always lost weight, but they always gained it back. And they said, what we're doing here, we're getting people to lose their weight in like 10 to 12 times faster than any diet. And then we're teaching them how to maintain it. These studies, which I'm holding here in my hand, were started about 6 years ago. And if you understand about human trial studies, they're very expensive. They're done on human beings, and they take a long time to go through the approval process to actually get published in these big medical journals, right? So the key has been that these studies, which were started 6 years ago, these people have maintained whatever. I know one man lost 150 pounds like in 4 or 5 months. I mean, I'm serious. And he's kept it off now for almost 6 years. That's the whole reason to do it. I mean, I hope I'm wrong for you, but the likelihood you're really fighting the odds that, et cetera. But again, at least for your own benefit, it sounds like you're interested in this. It sounds like you're really educated about it. You have an opportunity to hear from the top. And they've worked with Navy SEALs and Green Berets and CrossFit people and marathoners and triathletes, et cetera. They're not against exercise, but they completely eliminated exercise in the studies. People wore Fitbits to prove they weren't exercising because they wanted to see, could people gain lean muscle mass with no exercise? They did it. It's in the studies. It's right there. You can see it. For me, it's just so exciting because of the fact that for 20 of my 22 years, I was up against it. I had before and afters, we had stories, et cetera, but we didn't have any medical proof. And it's just like the nice lady that, if the food comes in a box, it's not food. Yeah, well, actually, Constance, that's completely erroneous and one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard. Because food it depends on the food itself, the natural state. You can't just, what are you going to send it in a paper bag? It has to come in some kind of a container. So that's ludicrous, okay? And I'd like you to explain to me where you're getting 70 trace ionic minerals, because no food you're consuming has more than 20. So see, that's the we've been so brainwashed. Yes, you're talking about processed food. That's a whole different ballgame, okay? Because at some point, I don't care even if you're doing organic, you have to at least have it in a basket or a bag or something. What are you going to just carry it in your arms like that? That's just silly, okay? Just silly, all right? So would anybody else like to ask me, Alexandra, or, well, obviously Kirk, we've been having a great back and forth, and Constance. So I'm sure not Max. Hi, Siri, old. Constance Sabrinsky at the food. Again, would anybody else like to ask me a question or make a comment? Or, I'm sure I made a lot of you mad, but I'm just showing you the medical science. Nothing I'm sharing with you is my opinion. And you all can have opinions, but unless you have peer-reviewed human trial studies, it's useless in the medical world. They won't even look at it. I understand why. We have to have some kind of scrutiny, right? Would you be taking a drug that hadn't gone through a peer-reviewed medical trial? I hope not. On human beings, not on mice and rats. That's why. And these are the top people in the world. You get it? It's not my opinion. It's what they've discussed. They created this because with your best intentions, food in this country is all but nutritionally bankrupt. Like I said, you're getting 20 out of 70 minerals. Where are you getting the other 50? Where are you getting Where are you getting adaptogens? You're not. So, no. Exactly. Okay, let me explain it to you, Alexandra. The researchers, so here's how it works. Let's take a plant-based protein. Well, first, let me back up for just a moment. Alexandra, okay, I didn't want to mispronounce your name, okay? Just follow me. So there were a total of 20 amino acids that are available to us. 9 are essential. You have to get them from your diet. No option. The other 11 are non-essential, okay? So here's how it works. How do we get amino acids in proteins? Either from plants or from animals, okay? So here's the big fallacy. Like people come on and say, and Kirk, don't get mad at me. I'm just, like in that case, he was ingesting 190 grams of protein a day. That sounds good. You think you're getting 190 grams of protein or the amino acids. You're not. So in Europe, they developed this new test. It's called net nitrogen utilization. And what they were able to do when people ingested protein from plants or from animals through blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis, they could determine what percentage of those 20 amino acids were actually being used by our bodies. This will probably blow all your minds. We have 22,000 genes in our body. We make 22,000 different proteins, human proteins every day. Protein from outside from a plant or an animal, the protein itself is a complete toxin that our kidneys have to get rid of. Shocking, right? Now watch this. So you ingest from a plant, the absorption has been studied, it's between 10 and 15%, meaning up to 85% of a plant-based protein is toxic waste your kidneys have to get rid of, okay? Now let's go to all meat, steak, chicken, liver, fish, etc. The absorption, doesn't matter what protein animal, it's 30%. These researchers found a source where the absorption of the amino acids, you ready for this, Alexander, was 91%. Not a supplement, a food. Okay? Now, not a food from the United States, okay? That's why these researchers said they looked first, what's the deficiency in the food in North America? Even if you do organic. I've been talking about trace ionic minerals. That's not iron, calcium, magnesium. We're talking about things like gold and silver and zinc and beryllium and boron and molybdenum. 70 we need. In the best organic, you're getting 20. Well, again, they found a source that had all 70 minerals. So as they were constructing the world's most perfect meal from a nutritional standpoint of view, am I making sense? Because can you imagine? The key was, could we give people less food, but not give them less nutrition? They figured it out. They did it, and they have the proof. Where men and women lost as much weight in a month as a year on any diet, lost no water weight, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Why? Because one of the 20 amino acids, it's called leucine, is responsible in our body to make muscle. So these people were getting 91% of leucine. No one was allowed to exercise, and yet they gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. Now, if you want to exercise, of course, they're not against it. But in the studies, they isolated exercise. So let me see. Makes sense. What is the food? Well, it's not just one food. It's different foods that contain things like there are 21 naturally occurring vitamins. These elements that come from Manchuria, they're called adaptogens. And what do they do in the body? They massively lower, listen to this, stress and lower inflammation, which we have the proof. In the studies, for the first time in history, they measured and lowered inflammation by 25% in 30 days. So 30% of the food you're going to consume is fats, proteins, carbs from the grocery store. And then these other 5 foods that come from around the world that contain all of this elements. It wouldn't be foods you're necessarily familiar with right off the bat, okay? But that's why you have the opportunity, go to the website, look at all the medical proof. It's all free. We won't contact you. And then if you like what you see, scroll down and sign up for a free, 100% free personal consultation with one of our coaches. Those coaches have done the protocol and been trained to answer all your questions. And listen to this. If you do decide to do it, they'll be your coach the whole time for free. I get people putting in the chat, how much is the free consultation? It's like, oh my God, are we that skeptical? I guess we are. But something even more important, the 5 foods that so basically what you're doing, you're getting a new food list for your month. 30% from the grocery store and these other 5 foods, right? Then they teach you how to consume those foods. Totally different. The 2 new methods, let's call it the recipe. 5 days a week, you do something called protein pacing. On those days, this is crazy, Alexander, you have 4 meals a day. You start with the 5 foods from around the world. No food from the grocery store list. Lunch from the grocery store list. A 3rd meal from the grocery list. And a 4th meal, 5 days a week, the world's most perfect meals. You do that 5 days a week. 2 days a week, you do something, listen to me carefully, intermittent nutritional fasting. Not fasting, not time-restricted eating, not intermittent fast. No, this is fasting supported by nutrition. Now, what did they do on those days? You have 4 meals again. No food from the grocery store, and only these 5, the world's most perfect meals, you have them 4 times a day. And Alexander, what was the result? Most women lost a whole dress size in the first 7 days. Men lost 2 to 4 inches off their waist in 7 days. Men and women both lost as much weight in 7 days as 8 weeks of any diet these researchers had ever done in 38 years of research. In a month, men and women lost as much weight as a year, lost no water weight, and gained 6 to 9% lean muscle mass. I just explained it to you because you're getting 91% of leucine. So it's all laid out. As a matter of fact, if you do it, this is what the researchers created. I think I've got it here. It's called the Blueprint for Success, and I know you won't be able to read them, but I'll just show them to you anyway. So these yellows, these are actually daily tutorial videos from the researchers. They're saying, look, day one, this is what's going on. This is why it's safe. This is why. You know what they say in the interview on the website? You'll go and look at it if you want. They said they'd never recommend any form of traditional diet ever again after 38 years of research. They said it would be unethical for our patients because why would we put you, again, why in the world, Alexander, would we put you on a diet where it's going to take you 8 weeks to lose weight in the most unhealthy way when you could do that in a week in a healthy way? Because see, the problem with all diets, Alexandra, when these researchers did the analysis of muscle, people lost up to 40% of the lean muscle. They always gained all their weight back. Sorry to tell you that. But the studies prove it. I don't know if you were here when I read, I'll just read why you shouldn't count calories. Well, counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term. The approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. What's even worse is 2/3 of people who go on diets gain back more weight than they lost. 2/3 of them. So and then we even have people like, I'll find it here in a moment. Here it is. Harvard Medical School, I have it right here, saying stop counting calories. They're saying the idea of a calorie in, calorie out when it comes to weight loss is not just antiquated, it's just wrong, says Fatima Stanford Harvard Medical School says stop counting calories and concentrate on what's in the food, not how much food we're consuming. Now, these researchers have nothing to do with Harvard. They're making the point. But again, their challenge is if they try and do it with regular food in North America, it's not going to work. Because why? Because they're going to limit the amount of food that people are consuming. They're going to lower. The nutrition is already limited. The nutrition is already suspect, even if you're trying to eat healthy. And your body only runs on nutrition. It doesn't run on calories. It doesn't know what a calorie is. Why are we counting calories? Because someone told us to. But the body goes, what's a calorie? You know, I'm proud to say I've done over 1,500 live lectures around the world. I've been in hospitals, medical schools, and I've had many doctors. And I get in front of the room and said, okay, everybody's counting calories. So any of you medical people, please give me the definition of a calorie. Do you know in 1,500 lectures, which I did around the world, I've even in China, I had about 2 or 3 doctors ever that could give me the definition of a calorie. Hello? What are we doing? Do you see what I'm saying? This is all the misinformation that's out there. I wouldn't, and again, they're telling you what they know, but what they're knowing, they're reading from textbooks that are completely outdated. It's like if we gave everybody now a rotary telephone, got rid of all iPhones, etc. Well, how do you text on a rotary telephone? You don't. So the point is that all of this dogma, this is what the researchers are saying. They're saying, as a matter of fact, I'm going to do a series of interviews with them next week, and they want to come out full force and just say this whole thing about calories in, calories out is just completely wrong. It's wrong. I mean, again, you guys can, and girls, you can do whatever you want to do. Our only job is to make you aware. Our job is not to convince you and not to sell you. Like if you sign up for a free consultation, they're not going to sell you. They're not going to convince you. We don't need to do that. If you look at the medical proof and you don't think this is for real, then you probably don't need a consultation. We're there to support you. We want to help you. I wrote in the end of this book, which I wrote this book in 2010, Why Diets Are Failing. By the way, there's no books to buy on our site, so don't go down that road. But the line I wrote was this: imagine in the future legions of the sick marching on the hospitals when there won't be enough doctors, there won't be enough nurses, there won't be enough drugs, and there won't be enough beds. Didn't we just go through that? America's dying, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting sicker and sicker at younger and younger ages. Let me give you an example. They estimate 50% of our children are overweight, and 1/3 of those are pre-diabetic or diabetic. Do you know that type 2 diabetes in children 30 years ago almost didn't exist at all? What are we doing? Tell you what we're doing. We've taken food and we put chemicals in it instead of nutrition. We put sugar. Do you know they use sugar because it's way cheaper than putting nutrition? I'm hoping this is going to change. We can't continue. I mean, I read to you before from Johns Hopkins Medical School. A study predicts obesity apocalypse in 5 years, that 86% of America is going to be overweight or obese. Please, anybody put it in the chat if you think a diet works long term. That's the only thing that matters. We're not arguing that you can lose weight initially, of course. until the brain figures out there's not enough nutrition. Then it begins to shut down your metabolism. But the scary part, and I can sadly speak to this, I wrote probably my most famous book is called Your Third Brain. I wrote it, this man I know you can't see him in the white coat. He's one of the top oncologists in the world. He's also a molecular biologist. He's worked with 2 men who won the Nobel Prize in medicine. And he taught me this sadly. In 2011, my younger brother was diagnosed with kidney cancer. I hadn't met Dr. Ruggiero at that point. My younger brother was 6'4". And from the time he was diagnosed until he passed away was 8 months. And when he died, he weighed 112 pounds. It was heartbreaking that I could carry him in my arms. He wasted away. I didn't know any of it in those days. My colleague taught me that one of the worst things that could ever happen to someone with cancer is they lose weight. Because the majority of what they're losing is what? Their lean muscle mass, which is doing what? Slowing down their immune system. My God, they need their immune system more than ever. Sadly, if you've ever seen anyone with cancer, they basically waste away. The same thing that happens to people as they age. We all get a disease called sarcopenia, loss of 1% of your lean muscle mass every year because you don't have enough absorption of amino acids, period. End of the story. Talk to someone in their 80s. What are they terrified of? Falling down, breaking their hip? Because it can be fatal. They can die. What are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? I hope for your sake, not for mine, it's not going to change my life. At least, why wouldn't you go to the website? As skeptical as you might be, it's free and we're not going to contact you. Can you take a chance that what is there could change your life and you don't go there because you're skeptical, because you're trying to compare this to other diets? Ask yourself that question. Yeah. No, that's not true, Sidonia. You're completely wrong. Sorry, you're totally off base. I just told you that in a plant, you're getting 10% of the amino acids. Let's get that one out of the way. Also in plants, you're getting 20 out of 70 trace ionic minerals. It's just completely unfounded what you're saying. There's no medical evidence that would back that up, okay? A plant, about 85% of it is toxic waste that's not converted to amino acids. Look it up. They're called nitrogen catabolites, which put a major strain on the kidneys to get rid of the byproduct. Protein is just like the shell of a walnut. It's what's inside. It's the amount of the amino acids, all 20, that you can get. So don't be telling me something like that when, again, the medical proof is completely the opposite. I'm not against vegans. I'm not against plant-based foods. Of course not. But you need to understand they don't provide the amino acid density. Well, even meat is only 30%. These researchers found a source that's 91%. Do you want 15% absorption or how about 91? Which one would you choose? Do whatever you want to do. Believe whatever you want to believe. But when you make a statement like that, it's not true. Prunes, freeze, dried peaches, and dried apricot. And copper, leafy green. Whoever's ever posting that, let me scroll up and see, just so I answer the right person. All you need can get from foods. Oh, Sidonia again. Yeah, but where are you getting, okay, Sidonia, where are you getting the 70 trace ionic minerals? I'll wait. Tell me where you're getting them. Because you're not getting them from any of those sources. At best, you're getting 20 out of 70. What about the other 50? So you're in a deficit even when you're trying to do everything perfect and right. We've destroyed the soil in North America. Don't you understand that? I mean, in the 1930s, the yield on corn was about 40 to 50 bushels to the acre. Now it's over 200. We don't rotate crops anymore. I don't fault the farmers. We're trying to feed the world, but we're giving them calories and not giving them what? Nutrition. We're not even giving them calories because the calorie is just a measurement. It's not a real thing. When you're eating food, you're not getting calories. You're getting nutrition or lack thereof. All of those things, prunes, those are all good. It's not bad, but they're woefully inadequate for what's possible, what the body really needs. Again, how are you going to justify you need 70 trace ionic minerals and you're getting 20? Here's what I tell everybody, and they get mad at me when I say this when they first start. I say, look, you have no idea how bad you actually feel right now because you don't understand how good you could feel. This is what the world has been waiting for, a solution. And there's a new term now called normal weight obesity. Just the way you look on the outside has nothing to do with the way you look on the inside. Vegans, that's good, but you're still woefully short of what you need if you're going to maximize your quality of life potential. If you don't care about that, then great. Keep doing what you're doing. But when you make statements like that, it's not true. You don't get all you need from plants. It's nonsense, complete bunk. They're good, but they're not extraordinary. If you think you can work on 20 minerals when you need 70. Let's see. So essentially it's about getting the additional minerals. Well, from these specific foods that these researchers, Alexandra, they did it for us. They put together the foods. And the suppliers that they use, you don't buy from us, you don't buy from the research, you buy directly from that's part of what the coach does, shows you, okay, this is how you can order from them, these are your flavor choices, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not something like, we give 30% of what you're going to get, you go to your grocery store, yes, but the other 70% is not available in any grocery store, et cetera. These are foods that come from Russia, Mongolia, Tibet, and the Himalayas, South America, New Zealand. And these researchers, these people that supply this, they give you 100% money back guarantee in the first 30 days. If it doesn't work, they'll even pay return shipping. So that's why signing up for a free consultation, it's for your benefit. Because it's not that simple. And then we have to teach you how to, because it's not just what you're consuming, it's when you're consuming and how much you're consuming. It's a completely new way of eating that you're not, everybody, they invented it. And they're the top weight loss nutrition and physiologists in the world. The top people. I'm listening to them. With all due respect, the dietitians and nutritionists, they're reading from textbooks that are completely outdated. That's why people on here, they want to argue with me so much. Oh, Alexander, you do know about adaptogens. Great. Autumn sunshine. I know about adaptogen, ginseng, holy basil. Ginseng and holy basil are not adaptogens. Sorry. Yeah, a lot of this is in my book. You don't have to buy my books, Alexandra. It's free. Go to the website. Everything's there, etc. I agree about too much protein. So again, it sounds like you're very, very interested or knowledgeable of this. You get to listen to a podcast with the #1 nutrition, weight loss physiologist in the world, who he and his team invented this. They don't have any products to sell. They don't have a store. But they gave us the gift of putting this together for us. So I couldn't have figured this out, because they looked at what's missing in our food in North America and found other food groups that they put together to make up for that deficiency. They're not supplements. These are not capsules. These are foods. Does that make sense? So Engine or Papa or OK Vodka, that's a great handle. So again, Sidonia, I don't mean to make you mad, but that's a total reality. So again, if you think you're going to get everything from plants, you're not. Okay, sorry. So would anybody else like to ask me a question before I close out this podcast? Wow, I can't believe it's almost 7 o'clock on the East Coast. I'm in Denver. It's 4:41 here, just because a lot of people think this is recorded. No, it's absolutely live. So again, would anybody else like to make a comment or put in the chat? And I'm willing. I'll go about another 2 or 3 minutes. But if someone has a question, I'll answer the question. I'm not going to be evasive. But the whole point, let me put it one last time down at the bottom here for all of you, including you, Alexandra. The point is that this website is designed to show you exactly what they did, how they did it, and the assurance from the top that it's safe. It doesn't make any sense if it's not safe. But the thing about it, it's sustainable. The only reason to do it is to maintain whatever you're able to lose for the rest of your life. I said before, I lost 40 pounds in 7 weeks, 22 years ago. I've kept it off for 22 years. That sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Papa, what should we eat? Why do you think about the moringa? Moringa is good, but again, it's a small part of what you really need if you're going to maximize. So what should we eat? Okay, so first of all, Papa, I know you came on. That's all laid out for you. If you go to the website, which I'm going to put down there at the bottom one more time, you can see the medical proof, because what they did, these researchers that are top weight loss researchers in the world, they put together a grocery list, 40% of what you would consume. You actually get a grocery list you take to the grocery store. But the other 5 foods these researchers researched, they didn't find them, but they found the sources put together to create the world's most perfect meal. Those 5 foods you buy, we don't sell you anything, the researchers don't sell you anything. You buy directly from the suppliers, so there's no guesswork. And you can, if you go to the website, all the medical proof is there. You can, if you like what you see, scroll down and sign up for a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. Our coaches have done the protocol and they're trained and they'll go over all that with you because we don't know, do you want to gain weight? Do you want to lose weight? We have people as young as 2 doing this. We have people that are 90. We have a gentleman that had a heart transplant. We have people that have had kidney transplants, no thyroids. And we're not treating, curing, diagnosing, or making any medical claims whatsoever. Don't hear me say that. But the idea, first, you get to see the medical proof. Then you can get all your questions answered if you want. It's totally free. And that coach will be your coach, Papa, the whole time for free. The coaching's 100% free. You're not buying anything from us. You're buying directly from those suppliers. So again, there's no guesswork here. These researchers, this is what they did in the medical studies. This is what they did in the medical trials. Does that make sense to everybody? No, it doesn't. Don't. That's a bunch of nonsense. That's all been studied. These are the top researchers. Yeah. So again, 80, 10, 10. No, that's nonsense. Okay. Look, you're competing with the top weight loss researchers in the world for 38 years that did 8, 10, 10, 20, 80, carnivore diets, vegan diets, etc. I'm sorry to tell you. None of them. Look, here's the evidence. Okay. Just let me explain something to you. Why you shouldn't count calories, not my opinion. This is from a big study. Why you shouldn't count, why counting calories and restricting calories can help you lose weight in the short term. The approach has never been proven to keep weight off long term. Okay, then we have a mega analysis, if you know what that is. So here's a review, a meta-analysis of 80 weight loss clinical trials where they said the authors compared different methods of dieting by lowering calories, okay, in different combinations. They said they found that a diet that was based on reducing calorie intake had people gain all their weight back and more. I've got 10 studies that prove that this whole calorie notion, quantity is nonsense. Doesn't work. Long term, it doesn't. You're going to lose weight. So the 80, 10, 10, you lose weight initially, but you're going to gain it all back. And the weight you're losing on that is primarily up to 40% is lean muscle mass, which slows your metabolism down. That's why people gain all the weight back. How in the world could we have 80% of America overweight, 50% obese, 50% pre-diabetic if any of these diet schemes, they're schemes. 80, 10, 10, don't. No, that's nonsense. No, you don't. You have. Where's your proof? Show me here's what you need to show me, Sidonia. You need to show me a peer-reviewed human trial study. Don't give me a scientific paper. Don't give me an opinion. It's complete and utter nonsense. There's not one shred of evidence that works long-term. Sorry, look, hold on to your opinion. Apparently it's serving you. Do whatever you want to do. It doesn't work. But you don't think these researchers studied that in 38 years? 100 studies, thousands of people. They're the top weight loss researchers in the world. You don't think they did 80, 10, 10? They did everything. It's a whole flawed concept. Like I said, where are you getting the nutritional density? Where are you getting it? Don't tell me plants. I already told you. You get a 10 to 15% absorption of amino acids. You get 20 minerals out of 70. So how are you meeting the nutritional needs of the body? Please explain it to me. I'd love to have your opinion. Because again, protein is useless. It's a poison to us. The only thing the body cares about is what's inside the protein, the amino acids. And when you're ingesting plants, you're getting 85% of that plant is waste. It's the shell of the walnut that the kidneys have to get rid of. So don't tell me that. It's nonsense. And again, it's the kind of carbs, it's the kind of fats. So we're probably in violent agreement on that. This whole thing about protein is just complete and utter nonsense. They proved it in Europe now. I mean, you're going to eat a plant-based protein and 85% your kidneys are going to have to get rid of? Does that sound like a good plan? If you've ever had a friend that was on kidney dialysis, they pretty much limit the protein because of the waste product. The protein that's not used, the amino acids not used in the body, it's like the shell of the walnut that the body has to get rid of. I know this is shocking to most of you, but it's just the medical reality. Like I said, these are the top weight loss researchers in the world for almost 40 years. They did over 100 studies, thousands. They looked at almost every diet that there was, including 80-10-10, 80-20 for your blood type, Cornish, Zone, Diet, Atkins, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, Nutrisystem, Paleo, Keto. As a matter of fact, let me just, Sidonia, just so you don't get totally mad at me, which you probably are already, but let me read a big study done in the Journal of the American Medical Association. In this study, they looked at 48 different studies, pretty much every diet out there, including 80-10-10. Here's what they said. The most amount of weight loss in a year, this was in a 12-month study, in a year to the least amount of weight loss in a year was 10 ounces. And they said the average weight loss in a year on all these diets was about 16 pounds, and up to 40% of what people lost was lean muscle mass. That's the reality. If you believe in science, I invite you to go to the website, listen to the interview from the top weight loss, not me. I'm not the top weight loss nutrition physiologist in the world. We're just making it available to you for you to see. Maybe it won't change your mind, but can you take a chance that it's not what could change the rest? By the way, Sidonia, what are you doing? What are you doing about TDOS syndrome? Toxicity, deficiency, overweight, and stress. What are you doing about that? What are you doing about the obesogens that you're storing in your body, that are in the air, the water, and the food? All of us. This is a registered trademark, U.S. Patent Office. No 8-10-10 vegan, whatever, has proven to remove a gram of toxin from the body. None, zero. They always come on and say, well, I did a detox. No, you didn't. Where's your medical proof? They'll talk about bentonite or zeal, all these things. But there's no medical proof. Unless you have peer-reviewed human beings, peer-reviewed human trials, it means nothing. It's zero. I know, because for 20 years, I had amazing before and after pictures and stories. In the medical world, it meant zero. Why? Because there's no proof. People make statements. They give us opinions, but those aren't facts. These researchers did us such a favor because they didn't give up after almost 40 years, 100 studies. You'd think they get pretty discouraged that every diet, people lost weight. But when they measured, they lost about 40% of lean mass. Every person, every time, gained back more weight than they lost. Well, look, they're projecting in 5 years that 86% of Americans are going to be overweight and obese. That means only 14% of the population. And I hope you're part of that. You may be. Great, if that's working. But don't project. I did that and got blown up in the medical world. They said, you don't have any proof. Now we have 10 peer-reviewed human trial studies. Do you know that one of the other studies that was done, and this is Nature Communications, I'm holding this study in my hand, it's the #1 medical journal in the world, had nothing to do with the weight loss on this protocol. You know what it had to do with? Gut health, called your microbiome, which is essentially your immune system inside your body. Now, it just so happens I know a little bit about that, because we wrote the definitive book on it called Your Third Brain. I wrote it with I know you can't see him. He's the top oncologist and molecular biologist in the world. He's worked with 2 men who won the Nobel Prize in medicine. He's published over 237 scientific papers in the biggest medical journals in the world, and 2 of his papers are in the top 10% of all medical papers ever published in history. I kind of listened to him. Now, you understand that this study had nothing to do with our book, but it's interesting that Nature Communications, look, the gut is such a major factor in our emotions. It's a major factor in our immune system. Well, they saw in this study, in a month, it's called the biodiversity. Simply in layman's terms, it means the variety of the bacteria and things that are in the gut. It increased by 25% in a month. In 8 weeks, people with all kinds of gastric problems went away. You can see it on the web. It's right there. The study's there. The breakdown. You'll see it. We don't make up things. The main reason to do this is not to lose weight. The main reason to do it is to detox your body or assist your body. The technical term would be assist in detox. Maybe some of you know this. When you go to bed every single night, as long as you don't eat too late, your body, what it does, it slows or stops digestion. Well, when that happens, the body automatically, without us doing anything, turns on detox. It's called autophagy. It's when the body gets rid of the dead cells. Well, these researchers basically recreated that in 48 hours when people are awake, because they did blood, stool, urine, and fat analysis proving this. It's because autophagy is not removing the herbicides and the pesticides, etc. And I know you think, oh, well, the liver, We're now at a position where 40% of America has non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. What? Do you know in 1976 there wasn't one case? Wasn't one case. How are we doing? Because our liver is overburdened with these chemicals to a point where it can't handle it anymore. So the chemicals released into the bloodstream, and the body, as its last defense, takes that chemical and stuffs it in your visceral fat. I don't care if you're vegan or not, or 8, 10, 10. You're doing nothing about that. Zero, zero, zero. That's the main reason to do this. It's not about losing weight. It's about assisting your own body in detoxification. And people, they mean well, and they come on and tell me, well, I do a detox twice a year. No, you don't. There's not one shred of evidence. I mean, it sounds good. It's a marketing scheme, maybe. But if what they were claiming worked, they'd have peer-reviewed human trial studies done on human beings, not on mice and rats or a scientific paper in a laboratory. This is what we're being fooled. We're being totally bamboozled. You don't have to listen to me. You don't have to listen. But the one thing that I would encourage you to do, why wouldn't you go and look at the medical proof? Can you take a chance that you're overlooking something that could change the rest of your life? It's not about the weight loss. The weight's like a joke. That's going to happen. You're going to lose weight 10 times faster than any diet you've ever been on. But the key is that you're going to be able to keep it off. But the key is, what are you losing? Chemicals, toxins. And you're gaining lean muscle while you're losing weight 10 times faster than any diet. Doesn't that kind of sound interesting a little bit? Or do you want to go on a diet and count calories and just make yourself miserable? I don't know. I guess that's up to you. Let's see. So any other questions? You don't have to read the book. What I would encourage you to do is I would encourage you to go to the website. I don't want people to, otherwise they think that I'm like tricking them and I'm forcing them to read my book. That's not the point. That's not what we're doing here. If you want to do that, that's okay. What I would suggest first, Sidonia, is go look at the website, look at the interview with the #1 nutritional researcher in the world. When you see the before and afters on that site, which I can't show here, I get banned, you will think that we cheat. I mean, there are people that lost 100 pounds, they have no loose skin. There are athletes that in 11 days, the transformation, again, you'd think we photoshopped it. We didn't Photoshop anything. So I really would encourage you to go. It's free to go to the website, and we're not going to contact you. There's no reason for us to contact you. So anyway, does this make sense to everybody? Okay, so I am going to conclude this. This is my last podcast of the day. I think it's my 4th one I've done. My voice is, I got to save it for tomorrow. Just to let everybody know, I normally do these starting about, let's say 11:30 Eastern time, and then I probably do one every couple hours. So I do 3 or 4 a day because we want to get more and more people that have exposure to the information. That's what we're doing. We're providing you with a place where you can go for the information. We don't want to convince you. We don't want to sell you. We don't have time to do that. Okay? So anyway, I hope you all have a great rest of your day, night, evening, morning, because this podcast goes all over the world. Okay? So Sidonia. You fascinating. I do understand what you're saying. Yeah, raw diet, 2 weeks lost. Yes, but the weight you lost was the wrong kind of. Look, do yourself a favor. I don't want you to believe me, okay? I'm glad you hung in there and you didn't get mad at me. I'm just a mad scientist. I want to, listen, I don't know if you were on Sidonia. Let me say this for everybody. My own mother was morbidly obese. I never knew her thin and I never knew her healthy. And before I became a researcher, 23 years ago, she called me up one day and she said, Peter, I have one really big wish in my life. And I said, Mom, what's that? She said, I would give anything if I could spend one day thin, 24 hours. I said, wow, Mom, that's cool. Well, 6 months later, massive heart attack and stroke. I loved my mom. I did. She was absolutely wonderful. And she did about every diet that there was 23 years ago. She cut diets out of the National Enquirer. I believe she dieted herself to death. So Sidonia, that's one of the reasons why I'm so darned passionate about this. I couldn't help my mom. But I've helped, to give you an idea, in 22 years, not me, but our group, we've helped about 700,000 people lose over 20 million pounds. And it's not a diet. And the main reason to do it is not a diet. And I can't talk about the medical kind of miracles that we've seen. As a matter of fact, if you're interested, every Thursday night we do where people come on and just tell their stories. There's no commercial. It's just stories that are, I mean, I always say it's the Kleenex night because the stories are so far beyond weight loss, you know. We have one young woman who lost 120 pounds in 6 months. Changed her whole life. She's like, I think she's 30. She has 3 kids. She couldn't even tie her shoes. She's 5 feet tall and weighed like, I think 200. I don't know the exact numbers, but it was just crazy. But that's just one of many, many of the stories. So again, that's why I invite all of you, do yourself a favor. Go to the website, The New Health Conversation. It's down at the bottom. I put it in twice. It's also over on your side, Sidonia. I'll put it in there one more time just so you know. Darn it. If I can manipulate my keyboard here to. Okay, there you go. Let me scroll down. So The New Health Conversation, Sidonia and everybody else, please go there and see for yourself. We believe we're giving you a gift of knowledge for free. There's no tricks, there's no gimmicks, there's no bait and switch. It's the reality of the scientific world, okay? So I want to say I'm going to bid everybody adieu, and hopefully some of you will tell people about my podcast, and hopefully they can jump on it tomorrow. Dominique, I'm sure you just came on a little bit too late. You'll notice there the New Health Conversation. You can go and learn about why calorie counting is out the window and how you could lose as much weight in a week as in 8 weeks of dieting, lose as much weight in a month as a year on diets, lose no water. How much excited would you be, Dominique, if you could lose a whole dress size in 7 days with no exercise? Lose as much weight in that 7 days as in 8 weeks of any diet you've ever been on. That's how powerful this is. So I'm sorry that you're just coming on at the end, but if you go to the website, pretty much everything is there that you'd want to see. Anyway, I set alert. You mean for tomorrow? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, because tomorrow probably. Oh, okay. So again, but in the meantime, you still can go to that website. Let me put it down there for you. I still would invite you to go to that website. I'm posting it for you right now. You can see it right below your name, The New Health Conversation. There's an interview with the #1 diet nutrition researcher in the world. There are before and after. I mean, most people, almost 100% of the people go there. They want to, and then if you go there, you can schedule a free personal consultation with one of our coaches. It's completely free. And that coach, if you do decide to do it, they'll follow you the whole time. We don't sell you anything. The researchers don't sell you anything, but you get the food list of what you're going to consume. And then our coaches teach you how to consume that food that it's something you're not doing now. Okay? Great. So again, you see the website right there, The New Health Conversation, Dominique. Go there and enjoy yourself because it's tremendous, tremendous amounts of information. Oh, good. Thank you. I sent it to my sister X. Is that I'm not sure if it's X sister or sister X, whatever, Sidonia. And again, I'd be very curious. I'd love for you to go on the website. And then if you want to come on one of my lives and just comment about what you thought about what you saw on the website, it's great. I would like to think I'm your advocate for everybody. I'd like to think that I'm your friend. I'd like to think that what I'm providing to all of you is something you can't find anywhere else on social media, and that's real medical proof. Not an infomercial, but medical proof, which I want to share with all of you. I want to share it with the world. Oh, I'm in the UK. Wonderful. It's available in the UK. It's available all over the EU. It's in. I think they're in the fulfillment. Not me, but the people that supply it. I think they distribute in like 28 different countries or something. But it's the same. But remember, it's the researchers that put it together. And my God, it's like, you're like 8 hours ahead of Denver. So it's got to be. Is it like 1 o'clock? Sidonia, is it like 1 o'clock in the morning in the UK? I love the UK. I used to, like almost 30 years ago, I was going to London once a month for 10 days. I absolutely loved it. The only thing I had to adjust to warm beer, I have to admit. I'm sure you know that's, something that's, but God. And I went there, I think I went there 10 days every month for almost a year in a completely different line of work. I wasn't a researcher then. And in all that time, I only got rained on once. So it's really overrated about the fact that it's doomy and gloomy in England. I love that country. It was a marvelous, marvelous place. It's 12:04 a.m. Okay, so you're exactly 7 hours ahead of me. And I used to stay, I think it was Baker Street or something. I know I went to, but I mean, I'd run in Kensington Park. Oh my God. I'll tell you one thing, your country, it's about the greenest country that I mean, it's just unbelievable. And the people were so nice, even though I was a Yankee with my accent. They still treated me wonderful. I made some great friends, because I was going once a month for 10 days and I met a lot of people that were just absolutely wonderful. And any of you, if you ever get a chance to go to England, God, go. It's the UK, England, whatever you call it. It's a wonderful, wonderful country and the people are just absolutely amazing. So, oh, okay. Ah, I by birth came to the UK. Well, I didn't just stay in London. I mean, I did go out into the countryside and I went to Cardiff by the sea and all those other places. So it wasn't, I mean, London was where I flew into, but I ended up going out in the countryside and I heard Wales is really, really beautiful, et cetera. But I mean, seriously, just as an aside, what a great, I mean, the history and of course, I did all the tourist stuff. I went to the Tower of London and you see all that stuff. I went to Windsor. But as I said, because I met people, they took me out in the countryside. We took the trains, and I had to the tube. What the heck is the tube? That's a subway over here, right? But I mean, mind the gap. That was one of the funniest. I mean, when I heard that the first time, I'm going like, "What is the train going to crash? Is the train going to crash?" You know that, right? I think I said it right. Isn't that what they said? Mind the gap. Mind the gap when you pull into what's the big Victoria Station, I guess, is obviously one of the big stations. So I used to fly into Gatwick, and then I would take the train into London, and then obviously I'd go out into the countryside. But I couldn't say enough wonderful things about it, and the people were just so, so nice and gracious, even though I was a Yankee. What can I say? They didn't hold it against me that we won the war a long time ago, okay? All right, well, Sidonia, for everybody else, I want to bid all of you. See, this is crazy. We're saying goodnight to Sidonia in London, and yet it's 5 o'clock in the morning in Bangladesh, in India, and everywhere. But we want this to go around the world. We want you to tell as many people as possible about it, because where else and what we want to do is just make the information available to you. That's it. Then you get to make a choice or a decision. All right? So, Sidonia, wonderful chatting with you, wonderful chatting with the rest of you, and I just hope that you all have a great rest of whatever 24 hours that you're working on, okay? We'll see you all later. Bye-bye.